Southern California, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Today, got ourselves quite the show, as we have a lot to get to in the world of Southern California sports, such as the Lakers doing what? They got Luka Doncic, but how much did they give up for Luka the Don? Also, they managed to pick up some good wins. They took down the New York Knicks, they took down their rival the Clippers, and they also took down the Golden State Warriors. Are the Lakers a threat to the West? And the Clippers are kind of on the down and down after losing the Lakers and blowing it against the Indiana Pacers. But there's still hope for the Clippers because they could do some flashes too. Also, the Rams did and good bad news as their first one is the player of the year. But it looks like they're going to have to trade one of the big time players. And it's coming against the Cousins finally in the Hall of Fame. Thanks to heaven. Also, USC and UCLA pick up big wins against the State on the right side. But USC Williamson did lose to Iowa. What happened against the Hawks? Right before they take on UCLA. All that more here on the SoCal Spring Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Spring Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Friday afternoon or Friday evening or Friday wherever you are listening from. Either way, you've made your way into episode 215 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Without any further delay, let's begin. But first and foremost, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show would not be where it's at without IE Sports Radio providing the platform to go live on StreamYard. Please do follow IE Sports Radio on several different social media platforms such as X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. And also make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. We would greatly, greatly appreciate it. We're trying to reach 400 subscribers by the end of this month. And with your help, we can definitely make it happen. And heck, we can even try to make 500. We just need your help to try to help get to that goal. And we would definitely appreciate it. Also, make sure to check us out on other podcast platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, the GeoSalvin, the list goes on and on. Also, check out our website, iesportsradio.com, for all of your latest sports news, our blog, our pages dedicated to each podcast, such as the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, our merchandise shop for tank tops, t-shirts, hoodies, and much more. Also, make sure to check out our Hall of Fame, where yours truly is actually inductee number 10 to be exact, and much more on our website. For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Thank you to everyone for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that sports. A huge shout out to our sponsors, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, Vital Apparel, Seal the Deal Wax Seals, Raw Nutrition. And those are our 4 sponsors. So without any further delay, let's get on in to what our sponsors are all about.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm. single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clinking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
That's right, everybody. Definitely check out our website and definitely check out our sponsors. we would greatly appreciate them. Also have to give a shout out to our newest sponsor, our most recent sponsor, Raw Nutrition Supplements. Go to getrawnutrition.com and use the promo code IESR for 10% off. So we thank them for being the official sponsor of IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. And the way you can follow the SoCal Supreme Sports Show on X and on X is at SoCal Show IESR. That's the only place where you can go to find the SoCal Supreme Sports Show on social media. And you can follow me, the host, Teran Rodriguez, on X as well. That's where I'm mainly active, at Teran Rodriguez 1. All right. So without any further delay, let us get on into this SoCal sports talk. So we have a lot to get into, and we also have a guest that'll be coming in. So yes, actually be walking in momentarily and will be joining me. So let's go over the big event that's happening this Sunday. Super Bowl 59, which honestly, Chargers and Rams fans, it's going to be the worst of both worlds. If the Chiefs win, then it's a three-peat, and the Chargers will get to see their division rival stand stand in the spotlight, winning another Lombardi. Whereas if the Eagles win, then the loss in the divisional round will hurt even more, which obviously will suck. I also have to give a shout out to Always Arizona Sports, a.k.a. Alden K. He says, have a good show, Teran. Thank you, Alden. He'll be going on momentarily. I think he'll be going on either after me or like 2 hours after me, but we shall see. But yeah, thank you, Alden, for popping into the chat room. But yeah, if the Chargers win, or if the Chiefs win, the Chargers and their fans will be irate, and honestly, it'll be the worst thing for them. But if the Eagles win, the Rams will get spited just because the Rams should have and probably could have beaten the Eagles. And it sucks because the snow really just does not do them any justice. But honestly, I think it's going to be a great matchup. Obviously, we don't care. Both of these teams are in Southern California. There are SoCal products on the Chiefs, like Trent McDuffie. I think he's a Servite alum. And also, you have Juju Smith-Schuster. He's from Long Beach Poly, and he's a USC alum. Fight on. So you have that right there. I think it's going to be fun times right there. But honestly, I could care less on who wins the Super Bowl. Honestly, if I'm being realistic, I'm going for the Eagles just because I don't want to see the Chiefs win as a personal Chargers fan. But honestly, I could care less. Just like last year, where I couldn't care less who would win the Super Bowl, whether it was the Niners or the Chiefs. Either way, the Rams or the Rams fans or Chargers fans would be seeing a rival win it all, which would really suck. But I digress. So yeah, there's that right there. There's the Super Bowl. And Kendrick, I'm just going to say this. Kendrick Lamar, I can't wait to see him perform. In case you didn't see the Grammys, which guilty enough, I didn't see the Grammys just because I don't think it was televised from where I'm at, but I digress. Kendrick Lamar did win record, and I think he won record of the year, and then he won song of the year, which I think is pretty darn cool if you ask me. So that's kind of something you all need to know for the halftime show where Kendrick Lamar performs and whatnot. He'll obviously performing Not Like Us. He'll be performing Humble. I think he'll also be performing We Gonna Be All Right. I think that's Kendrick Lamar. If not, that's Chance the Rapper. But honestly, I think it's going to be great to see Kendrick Lamar. If there's one thing I'm definitely looking forward to in the Super Bowl, it's that. Not seeing the Chiefs or Eagles win. But I am hoping for the Eagles to win, just because if they were to win, then technically the Rams probably could have won the Super Bowl had they not had to play the Eagles in that snowstorm and whatnot. And if Matthew Stafford just had a better O-line, I think it would have been better times for the Rams, and they probably could have gotten that game-winning touchdown. But who's to say that Jalen Hurts or Saquon Barkley wouldn't be getting the go-ahead touchdown for the Eagles or getting them in a field goal range for Jake Elliott, but I digress. All right, but that's that for the brief Super Bowl talk. So we did get some bad news regarding the Rams. There were some good news, but we'll start off with the bad news just to rip the Band-Aid off. The Rams are expected to trade Cooper Kupp. So in case you're wondering, or in case you don't know, it was 4 years ago where Cooper Kupp was named the Super Bowl MVP, and he caught the game-winning touchdown against the Cincinnati Bengals. Thank you, Eli Apple, for covering him. But, yeah, Rams are going to have to trade Cooper Kupp, and this really hurts. Like, Cooper Kupp is a darn good athlete. I think Cooper Kupp, what the past few years have not done him any justice with getting injured and whatnot. So I think it just sucks that the Rams are expected to move on from Cooper Kupp and trade him. They better get good value out of it. And this kind of makes me wonder. They obviously have Puka Nacua, but are they going to go wide receiver in the draft? I highly doubt they go wide receiver in the first round, but yeah, without Cooper Kupp, this is gonna suck. I mean, I feel sad that Cooper Kupp is gonna get traded. I hope he gets traded to the Chargers, because if there's one team that needs wide receiver help, it's them. But the Rams better get a good haul for Cooper Kupp. They better not be like the Chargers where they just traded Keenan Allen for a 4th-round pick. That was a major fleece from the Bears, even though the Bears didn't get too much mileage out of him this season, but I digress. And if anything, maybe that's going to be where Keenan Allen goes, because Keenan Allen said he would be down to return to L.A., whether it's with the Chargers or the Rams, or maybe he'll stay in Chicago with the Bears. But if this is the end for Cooper Kupp, thank you for everything that you did as an L.A. Ram. You're forever a legend, being the Super Bowl MVP. We definitely love and appreciate you no matter what happens. We'll never forget all that you did. I just wish that injuries just were not part of the game. And you are forever a Super Bowl 56 legend. You made the Super Bowl that year. And without you, the Rams don't win the Super Bowl in the Rams house. Yes, I'm going to say it. SoFi Stadium is the Rams house until the Chargers actually either A, win a Super Bowl, or B, win a playoff game in general. Or C, they start stringing Super Bowls together. But seeing as the Rams wound up winning in their own stadium, as my boy AC the GDB, or Soup as he's mostly called, would say, that was decided that SoFi is the Rams house. Nothing else can be said. Like, when you're winning a Super Bowl in your home field and you have to share it with another team, that's when you know it's your house. It's not the other team's house. I'm sorry to say, Chargers fans, but it is the truth. SoFi Stadium is the Rams house until further notice. But who knows? Maybe the Chargers can get their you-know-what together. But we'll have to wait and see. So speaking of the future for the Chargers, I did say that there was some good news regarding the Rams and the Chargers. So yesterday was actually the NFL awards, and it was actually announced that Chargers tight end and Chargers legend Antonio Gates has actually been elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which finally he's elected. Last year he wasn't elected, and I was so irate about that. That's why I had to give the committee of the NFL Pro Football Hall of Fame Dum Dum of the Week. But thank goodness Antonio Gates is a Pro Football Hall of Famer. So congratulations to Antonio Gates. I'm so happy. If there's anyone that deserves him, it's him. He is definitely a top 5 tight end all time. And honestly, there's no debating that. And on next year's ballot, Philip Rivers is eligible to be a member of the Hall of Fame, Pro Football Hall of Fame. And I'm hoping he gets it. My fear is that he's not going to get it on the first try. And unfortunately, he doesn't have the Super Bowls to back that up. And the crazy thing is that Eli Manning, he didn't get elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame this year, which unfortunately sucks. But it is what it is. And, you know, that's just the way the ball bounces. So we'll have to see what happens with Philip Rivers next year. Personally, I hope that the Chargers quarterback Philip Rivers does get in. But honestly, I hope I can only hope. Like, if he doesn't get in on the first try, then so be it. But if he is a first ballot Hall of Famer, then awesome. And he's probably going to be amongst the Dan Marino or Dan Fouts of quarterbacks that don't get elected, or that don't win a Super Bowl but get elected into the Hall of Fame. So there you have it. So some more good news regarding Southern California and the Rams and Chargers. Rams defensive end Jared Verse won the AP Defensive Rookie of the Year. So first and foremost, that's amazing. He had some stiff competition. I mean, Jared Verse is just amazing. So congratulations to Jared Verse and getting that accomplishment, because he had some stiff competition. I think he faced his own teammate, Braden Fisk, and he faced 2 rookies from the Eagles. So you had that stiff competition. So congrats to Jared Verse. And keep in mind, this was 1 year after Aaron Donald called it a career, where Aaron Donald he retired. But now Jared Verse seems to be the new Aaron Donald, which I think is going to be pretty darn awesome if you ask me. And the future looks bright for this Rams defense, not just with Verse, but with Braden Fisk, Kobe Turner, Kobe Durant. The list goes on and on. Hopefully the Rams can bring back Ahkello Witherspoon. He was definitely big time. I mean, he was a free agent last year. Rams didn't re-sign him. He didn't get picked up by anybody. And then Spoon went back to the Rams, and then he just made some big plays. So there you have it. And then you also got Cameron Curl and Cam Kinchins as well. So the Rams defense is looking very scary. And the fact that the Rams defensive end, Jared Verse, got the AP or Associated Press Defensive Rookie of the Year speaks to high volumes of how far he's gotten and how much work he's put in. And in addition, remember, this was the Rams' first round pick since 2014, which I think is pretty darn interesting if you ask me, which I'll actually get to in a little bit. But congratulations to Jared Verse on the honor, well-deserved on his behalf. And here's hoping we get to see more awards for Mr. Jared Verse. All right, so there's that right there. So closing off the Rams and Chargers, topics. The Chargers are actually projected to draft an edge rusher or a defensive tackle in the draft, while the Rams are expected to go offensive line. So this is something I have been pondering. Who should the Chargers draft? It's either who I want them to draft is Tyler Warren, but seeing all these mock drafts, Tyler Warren's going to be off the board just like that. And now you're probably thinking, well, what's going to happen if Tyler Warren is off the board? Well, my second wish list would probably be Colston Loveland, who is a tight end for Michigan. He'll be reunited with Jim Harbaugh. So I think that'd be good. Colston Loveland's another one, but some actually have him going to the Denver Broncos. I mean, whatever happened to Greg Dulcich? Didn't the Broncos get him? Like, the Broncos don't need to steal any more tight ends from the Chargers. Like, please and thank you. So Colston Loveland's one other guy that I want for the Chargers. And then another guy but I just saw mainly defensive edge rushers or defensive tackles. So, I mean, it would be okay. I mean, getting run stoppers to stop the run, that would be key. Also, getting edge rushers to get at the quarterback, that would be something great. But I did also read from Russell Baxter's article on SI.com saying, what do the Chargers need to do in order to get back to the big stage? And I read that someone that the Chargers could possibly eyeball in the draft, if he falls down to the Chargers at pick number 22, would be Ashton Jeanty. Now, Ashton Jeanty would be amazing for the Chargers to get, just because the Chargers need a good running back, a very good running back. Don't get me wrong, J.K. Dobbins, who I think was snubbed for comeback player of the year, I think he's great, but he might be hitting the free agent market. So, and we obviously can't fully trust Gus Edwards all that much. I mean, Gus Edwards did have a few big games, especially when Dobbins was out. But I will say, I think having some fresh legs would be key and essential. So why not see the Chargers get Ashton Jeanty if Jeanty falls down to them? If the Chargers are going to get any other running back, I mean, I saw in a mock draft that the Chargers would get the running back from Iowa, which I don't necessarily agree. But if the Chargers are going to get any sort of running back, I want them to get Cam Skattebo from Arizona State. I would love for them to get Cam Skattebo because he looks so legit against Texas in the college football playoff quarterfinal for Arizona State. So please, Chargers, if you're going to get a running back, get Cam Skattebo, whether it's in the second round or later, or maybe you got to make some trades just like you did to get Ladd McConkey with the Patriots. But I digress. So the Rams are expected to go offensive line in the first round, which I'm all right with. The Rams have some expiring deals, and the last time the Rams actually drafted an offensive lineman in the first round, believe it or not, it was in 2014. But ever since then, they haven't really had too many first-round picks because they've traded all of them picks for everything else. But, you know what I mean. And the last time the Rams obviously had a offensive lineman in the top 100 was a couple of years ago when they drafted Steve Avila with a 39th pick. So that's your little fun fact nugget. But Greg Robinson, the number 2 pick for the Rams, he was actually the last one offensive lineman to be drafted for the Rams. So there's a little bit of a Snapple fun fact right there. So look, I would not mind seeing the Rams go offensive line. I think that's actually perfect for them. I think they would need good offensive linemen just because Matthew Stafford isn't getting any younger. Now, I also saw, according to USA Today, that I think someone from ESPN has Jackson Dart getting drafted with the first round pick, which is 26th for the Rams. Which, look, he probably will go in the first round. I don't see any argument why. He's not obviously the Cam Ward type or the Shedeur Saunders type, but I wouldn't mind that. I mean, maybe if the Rams got 2 first-round picks, then I could see them getting Jackson Dart. And Jackson Dart, I think, would be a good successor to Matthew Stafford. But I'm not going to hold my breath on that. If anything, Dart would be a good second-round pick or a third-round pick. Anything later would be perfect for the Rams to get. Like, that would be something ideal. Like, if not in the first round, though. The Rams need offensive line help, and they need it back just because they've got some players on expiring contracts, and then they've got some players on like final years of their contracts. So you have that to basically take into consideration. So if anything, the Rams need to get some offensive line help. Otherwise, Matthew Stafford will probably be retiring in the middle of the season next year, but we don't want that. So there's that right there for the Chargers and the Rams in all their news. And I did just get word that my guest will be here at 5:40, and I'm expecting him to come on at about maybe 6 p.m. my time, 4 p.m. Pacific time. So you have that right there. So I shouldn't take too much time. And I guess his ETA is in about 10 or so minutes. So we shall see when my guest will get here, but time will tell. All right, but that is going to do it for the Rams portion of the show. We're actually going to continue on forward, and we'll talk a little college hoops. So college basketball. USC and UCLA both took down Michigan State. So Michigan State was actually ranked number 7 when USC took them on, and USC actually took them down, which I thought was very impressive. I was like, USC took them down? Okay then. Okay, that I see you, USC. That's actually their second-ranked win of the season. And it's actually their second-ranked win in the Eric Musselman era. And it's also their first top 10 win in the Eric Musselman era. So great job to the USC Trojans. I didn't think they really had it in them against Michigan State, but Michigan State kind of had a little bit of a rough week rough West Coast swing, because after Michigan State lost to USC, Michigan State lost to UCLA, which I think is pretty funny if you ask me. But looking at this USC Michigan State matchup right here, or looking at this little recap right here. So USC actually led 35-32 at halftime, and then they actually replicated their first half in the second half. So good on them. Desmond Claude led the way for USC with 19 points, so good on him. USC also had 15 points from Wesley Gates. Chibuzo Agbo added 14 points for USC. And then USC as a whole, they were 42% from the field. Same with Michigan State, which I thought was pretty funny too. But USC hit 7 threes as opposed to Michigan State's 5 threes. The big thing was that Michigan State missed 8 free throws. Oof. Well, USC only missed a whopping 4, which, yikes. Yeah, USC, how do you lose to USC? Again, this is a USC team that probably is still in the midst of a rebuild and whatnot. So that's the good news for USC. So the bad news for USC, unfortunately, they went all the way to Chicago, and they wound up losing to Northwestern by a final score of 77 to 75, which really sucks. And Man, if there was ever a game that USC did not want to lose, it was this one, especially since Northwestern is not one of the top teams in the Big Ten. So Clark, I'm going to butcher this guy's name, Clark Scatchert, he led the way for USC with 24 points. Wesley Yates added 15 points, and Chibuzo Agbo added 14 points. I know USC did lose one of their top players to an injury. I think it was Rayshon Agee, which really sucks, if not Josh Cohen or someone of that sort. Regardless, the crazy thing about USC is that they actually shot over 50% from the field. You shoot 50% from the field, and you actually shot 50% from 9 3-pointers, by the way, and you still lost. The big discrepancy, however, free throws. They missed a whopping 7 free throws, and USC only lost by 2. That hurts USC. And the crazier thing is that Northwestern shot just a little over 40% from the field. They only made 6 3-pointers out of 19, and they missed 6 free throws. So, and they had one starter in double digits, which was Nick Martinelli with 27 points and 13 boards. God, you're going to make him look like Luka Doncic, dude. So, yeah, this really sucks for USC. Like, USC definitely could have needed that win just because they needed a good confidence booster, or they needed to build off of that Michigan State win. But now, tonight, they actually are going down to Purdue to take on the Boilermakers, the number 7 Boilermakers. So if USC pulls out that win, then this makes me wonder, do they deserve to be in the NCAA tournament? I would hope they do, but it's looking way too close for comfort. Like, they're in the middle of the road in terms of the Big Ten. The only way they make it to the NCAA tournament is if they have a deep run in said Big Ten tournament, and then the committee just says, you know what, let's put USC in. But I just think that USC might be a year away. Maybe they'll get put into the NIT if they accept, but time will tell. So as for UCLA, they actually took down Michigan State, who was ranked number 9, by a final score of 63-61. So this was at Pauley Pavilion, and they needed some late game heroics, but UCLA was able to get that big win right there. And there's no doubt in my mind UCLA is going to make it to the NCAA tournament. Like, it'd be such a shocker if the Bruins did not make it to the tournament. And Eric Daly had the go-ahead basket over 2 defenders with 7 seconds left to lift UCLA to the victory. So great job to Eric Daly. Sky Clark led the way for UCLA with 14 points, while UCLA also got 13 points from Tyler Bedell. That was pretty much it in terms of double-digit players in terms of points, as Eric Daly had 9 points for the Bruins. So a great win for UCLA. Like, that's such a great win. And this is a Michigan State team, I get. They were coming off of a loss to USC. But I will say, UCLA pulling off that win is just even more impressive. And that's 6 wins in a row, because remember, they took down then number 18 Oregon. Like, you can't tell me that UCLA does not deserve to be in the NCAA tournament. They took down Michigan State, which was number 9, so that's a top 10 team. And my guest is here. They took down Wisconsin, another ranked team. They took down Oregon, just blew them out of the water. They blew out Oregon on the road when they were number 12 in the nation. They took down Gonzaga, which was number 14. All they really have that's going against them are the losses to New Mexico, the loss to North Carolina, which should be a quality loss to an unranked team, the loss to Nebraska, and then that 4-game losing skid. But ever since then, UCLA has been a machine, and they are back in action tomorrow when they host Penn State, which they should beat them. Penn State is one of the worst teams in the Big Ten, so you have that going for them right there. And, oh, shoot, I forgot to talk about the Big West Conference. So the Big West Conference, UC Irvine surpassed 20 wins, and they are still atop the Big West Conference. UC San Diego picked up a big win against UC Riverside last night, so that's good right there. So I feel that UC Irvine and UC San Diego are on a collision course with one another, which I think is going to be fun times for them. But in all honesty, I think it's going to be probably going to boil down to those 2 teams in terms of who's going to win the Big West Conference tournament. And I would hope it's going to be a team from Southern California, because we don't want to see a team not from Southern California winning it. No offense to Hawaii or UC Davis. Actually, no, I take that back. It's an offense. But anyway, that's going to do it for college men's basketball. Jumping to college women's basketball for a little bit. So UCLA aced their test against Ohio State, or should I say the Ohio State, as they took down the Buckeyes, the number 8 Buckeyes, 65-52. So not bad. That's a pretty darn good win if you ask me. Top 10 win at home, and just in time because they've got USC on the horizon, but they play Oregon on Sunday early before the Super Bowl happens. So that's good times for UCLA. They're still undefeated. They're still the only team that's undefeated in terms of NCAA women's basketball. So good job, UCLA. Now, unfortunately, I can't say the same for USC just because USC kind of pooped the bed in terms of what happened with them. Like, I can't believe what happened this past weekend. So their most recent game, they just demolished Wisconsin. But the game before, they lost to Iowa 76-69, which really sucks. And they were number 4 at the time. So unfortunately for UCLA, they went down to number 7, which really sucks. And what really, really sucks is that USC has another big game on their hands. And this one could be 100% trap game as USC plays Ohio State at home on Saturday, which is tomorrow. So I fear that USC is going to get really tested tomorrow, and they're also going to get tested on Wednesday when they take on UCLA, if not Tuesday. But honestly, this is what not Tuesday, a Thursday when they take them on. So either way, it's going to be a big 2-game stretch for USC. The good thing is that they don't have to travel. The not so good thing is that those are only just two ranked opponents that they have left. Well, 2 of the little ranked opponents that they have left. They've also got Michigan State, and then they've got UCLA to close out the regular season. And then Illinois and Washington aren't bad either. I mean, Illinois is pretty much near the top of the Big Ten standings. The problem is that they're just not on the level of UCLA, USC, Ohio State, and Michigan. And then Washington, they're kind of just below the middle of the pack in terms of the Big Ten. But all in all, for USC, this final stretch of the regular season is going to be so tough for them. Like, Washington is only going to be their breather match. Every other match, they're going to get suffocated. But that's kind of the design of the Big Ten, just because the Big Ten prepares you for the NCAA tournament. Because let's be honest, USC is going to make the tournament, as well as UCLA. It's just that it's all going to depend on when they suffer that first clunker game, which every team has a clunker game. I mean, USC did have that clunker game against Notre Dame, but then they went on that tear only to lose to Iowa, which I would say that was a clunker game because they were in that game for the most part. It's just that the first quarter, they just looked horrible. But all in all, for USC, I think that USC should be fine. I'm hoping for their sake that they can just wash this loss off. But that'll do it for some college women's basketball. I guess just a few more quick hits, and then we'll go to a commercial break and then bring on our guest. NCAA men's volleyball, number 3 UCLA plays at number 1 Long Beach State tonight at the Walter Pyramid in Long Beach at 7 p.m. Pacific time. And the reason why I mentioned this is because there's actually 4 teams ranked in the top 5. You obviously got UCLA at number 3, Long Beach State at number 1, UC Irvine's at number 2, and then USC just jumped into the top 5. So the only team that's not from Southern California in the top 5 is Hawaii, but I digress. But yeah, that's a rematch of last year's national championship match, which I think is pretty cool if you ask me. So you have that right there. And next week, UC Irvine and USC will be facing one another in a 2-game series. So just your quick little NCAA men's volleyball update. I'll talk more on that when it comes to set point. And then just a quick hit for the NHL. So the Kings and Ducks have both won 2 straight games, which, hallelujah. The Ducks are actually the 3rd worst team in the Pacific Division, but they actually have a boxer's chance. They actually are, I think they're like 7 points out of 4th place in the Pacific Division, while the Kings, they're 8 points out of 2nd place and 10 points out of 1st place behind the Golden Knights and the Edmonton Oilers. So The Kings are still the same in terms of like their position in the division, while the Ducks, they've graduated from being pretty bad to not as bad, but they're still bad. But that'll do it for the quick hits of the NHL. So now let's take ourselves a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to bring on our guests, and we're going to talk some Lakers trade with Luka Doncic and whatnot. So keep it locked here. You are listening to the SoCal Spring Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the 08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies.
And your one-timers.
You wicked wristas.
And be sure to protect your five-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
Hello, IE Sports Radio family and other sports families. My name is Alden Kay, and I want to welcome you to the AZ Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. If you're a fan of the Valley and the Grand Canyon State like me, then I've got the show for you. Tune in every week, where I will update you and give you the latest news for the Arizona Cardinals, Phoenix Suns, Arizona Diamondbacks, ASU Sun Devils, U of A Wildcats, GCU Antelope, and of course, the NAU Lumberjacks. Again, if you're a Valley sports fan and like all that is desert sports like me, tune in every week here on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll see you then.
Cleveland and Columbus sports fans, I've got the show for you. I'm Jen B, host of the Show of the Land right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. You want football? I've got the Browns, the Buckeyes, the Eagles, the Purple Raiders, and more for you. You want basketball? I've got the Cavs and the Charge for you. You want hockey? I've got the Blue Jackets and the Monsters for you. You want football, aka soccer? I've got the Crew and the Crunch for you. You want volleyball? I'm going to unleash the fury for you. You want more Cleveland and Columbus sports? I've got them all for you, from the majors to the minors to the college rinks. Catch me, Jen B, every week on the Show of the Land right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sport.
Back with segment number 2 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out all of our amazing shows. And for the first, and let's get back into the SoCal sports action. And without any further delay, let us welcome our guest for the first time in the flesh and on camera. He is my brother from the same mother, introducing the one and only Teran Rodriguez.
Hey, thanks for having me on, bro.
No problem. Thank you for being on.
So I'm just getting some of the notes here. Go ahead.
It's all good. So, yeah, I appreciate you for coming on and helping us talk about this next topic. I kind of had to go through every other topic just to get it out of the way for the most part, just because we're going to need a lot of time for this next topic, but not too much time. So we obviously have to address the elephant in the room.
Yeah. Well, first of all, no problem, Teran. I mean, as you probably know already, we're broadcasting from the Dallas area, and let me just tell you, traffic just seems to be getting crazier and crazier, by the day. I mean, with so many people like myself moving in here, it certainly doesn't help the commute. I can tell you that. I was lucky to make it here when I did.
It's all good, and all that matters is that you
got a little extra time.
Yeah. So thank you. I'm glad you're here. But yeah, this was the big thing. Lakers trade for Luka Doncic. They also got Maxi Kleber, as well as Markieff Morris. He comes back to the Lakers. The Lakers did have to trade Anthony Davis, as well as Max Christie, and a protected first-round pick in 2029. And they also had to trade Jalen Hood-Schifino to the Utah Jazz. But they managed to notch Luka Doncic, who should be making his debut on Monday. So first and foremost, you were asleep trying to get over a little bit of a head cold or sinus infection. What was your reaction when you first saw that Luka Doncic was getting traded to the Lakers?
Oh my God, yes. Well, I first heard it from you. I was like I said, I was already in bed. I was sick, and we were trying to we had to be up early the next morning. So I got up to get another dose of NyQuil, and I yelled at you. I said, hey, Teran, go to bed. We had to get up in the morning. And you're like, yeah, I know. And you just happen to throw at me. Oh, by the way, the Lakers just traded for Luka Doncic. And I'm not gonna lie, Teran. I thought it was sleepwalking. I thought it was having a dream for a second. I'm like, wait, what was that last part? What are you talking about? Am I hearing you right? What did you just say? And you're like, the Lakers traded for Luka. And I'm like, no, they didn't. You're drunk. You've been hacked.
I thought Shams was hacked. Everyone thought that Shams was hacked.
Oh my God, it's crazy. So like I went. I got my dose of NyQuil, and I needed it because I almost couldn't get back to sleep after hearing that news. Washed my teeth, checked my phone. I first went on the ESPN app just to see if it was true, and lo and behold, the breaking news banner: Lakers trade Anthony Davis for Luka Doncic in a blockbuster trade. And I was floored. I couldn't believe it. I turned on ESPN and there was Brian Windhorst breaking it down, and I as so many people around the world, especially here in the Dallas area. I'll get to that in a little bit. But we were just but everybody was just wondering what the heck is going on. Why are the Mavericks doing this? And you mentioned who the Lakers gave up, to get Luka. Luka should have got, the Mavs should have gotten way more than what they did, for Luka Doncic. Anthony Davis is a great player, and Max Christie's going to be a nicer player than people think. Again, I'll get to that in a little bit, but think about what if they had put Luka on the open market. The Mavs would have gotten like a Herschel Walker type deal, it would have been like a king's ransom. You're talking AD, you're talking Dalton Connect, you're talking, Austin Reeves, and maybe like 10 first-round draft picks, because he's Luka freaking Doncic. He's one of the best players in the game. And the fact that they were able to hold on to what they did and be able to flip Dalton Connect for a big man, the missing piece they need to really compete. That props to Rob Pelinka. He deserves Executive of the Year.
Yep, it was a big brain trade on his behalf, and I was just flabbergasted. I didn't want to believe this too. It's like, golly. And honestly, I think you definitely make a good point. The Mavs got fleeced in that trade, and the Lakers even got a big man being Maxi Kleber, which I thought was key right there. So, so go ahead. I'm just going to put some comments on the chat.
Excuse me, got a little bit of a frog in my throat. Well. Okay. Let's slow down a little bit here. If you watch the Mavs play the Celtics last night, if you're a Mavs fan, you need to be feeling a lot better than you initially did. After that trade, because. And listen, everybody's been talking here locally about how there's a lot of security concerns. They beefed up security for tomorrow's first Mavs home game since the Luka trade, because the Mavs brass, including the GM Nico Harrison, is getting a lot of death threats. And there's like, you're supposed to be like, boycotts and protests. It's going to be really fascinating to see how that goes down tomorrow. But it could also be. But listen to me. Especially if you're a Mavs fan, I want to make a public plea to all my friends in the Dallas area. The Mavericks did not get completely fleeced here. They got really good players in return. In fact, this trade could, I know this may sound hard to believe, and I know Mavs fans are upset about losing Luka. Luka is a great player, and he was a prodigal son, and he was going to be the heir apparent to Dirk. I realize this is a big shock. This is still a big shock to my Mavs friends, but you didn't get a couple of stiffs in this trade. You got not only a world champion big man who's having the best years of his career, and he's not the street clothes nickname that Charles Barkley gave him a couple of years ago. But I mean, I'm just saying that because that's still being thrown out in media. I mean, these are people that don't. And I'll get to that at the end of my rant. Anyway, but not only you're getting him, but you're getting Max Christie, who is a really underrated point guard. And if you watch that, you should go back and watch the highlights of Max Christie in that Mavs Celtics game last night, and in his first game against Philadelphia. He has been great. He's had great games, and he really did help the Mavs, in that big win over the Celtics. That team, not only do they have the best win of the season by far, but they just seem to play a lot looser and freer. The freest I've seen them play since before the NBA Finals last year. This team has, believe it or not, has the potential to be maybe better, not worse than prior to the Luka trade. So yeah, and going back to my comment about the street clothes thing, there's been a lot of memes and negative comments about Anthony Davis and the Mavs brass and just additional fall from the Luka trade. But I mean, most of these things are coming from people who don't follow basketball like you and I do, Teran. They don't follow the Lakers like you and I do. They just see these things. They just think that Anthony Davis is they see him as old news, damaged goods, and they're not watching the games. He's had some of the best years of his career the last couple of years. I mean, he's averaging I have to go back and look.
He led the Lakers in points, rebounds, blocks, and steals, pretty much
before the trade.
Yes.
Thank you. There you go.
Yeah.
The Mavs, and you pair him with Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively, that may be the best front line in the NBA. And this is perfect for Anthony Davis, too, because he's been saying for years that he's wanted to move back to the 4. Because if you remember from what are you doing?
Keep going. This happens a lot. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Sorry. So anyway, if you remember from when the Lakers won the title in 2020, Anthony Davis played the 4. You know who they had at the 5?
Dwight Howard.
And?
I actually don't know.
JaVale McGee.
Oh yeah, JaVale McGee.
So you had 2 big men that were past their primes, but still was able to give the Lakers additional size and additional defense, and that team played great all season long and through the bubble, and that's what helped the Lakers capture that title in the bubble. That's what I see, and that's what I see the Dallas Mavericks being with this trade. You combine that with Max Christie, and oh, by the way, you still have Kyrie Irving and Klay Thompson. you have a lot of other great role players too. In Spencer Dinwiddie had a great game last night. PJ Washington, Dante Exum. Who am I leaving out? There were. I think I took a screenshot of the stat last night. I think the Mavs set like some sort of record for like the most players, in the starting lineup and on the bench with 15 plus points. I mean, that's an insane stat. That's a franchise record. I realize this is the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. I apologize to the SoCal fans out there for spending for spending so much time on the Mavs. But I mean, since this is a big part of the story, and there's just so much intertwining, I just had to rant here. If the Mavs and the Lakers meet up in the playoffs, I'm still going to root for the Lakers. I'm especially going to root for Luka too, because I am rooting for him to prove the Mavs wrong and how they did him dirty with the Mavs cheating him out of a $100 million extension. And I'm also rooting for AD too, just because he's a former Laker, and I'm rooting for him to prove to the Mavs fans that this is not going to be a complete waste.
Najee Marshall was the other player that stood out for the Mavericks in last night's win. He had 20 off the bench, but yeah,
he's underrated too. Yeah, he brings in a lot of toughness in scoring off the bench.
And very well said. And this kind of makes me rethink giving Dum Dum of the Week to the GM of the Mavericks, but. Yeah, I think everyone just needs to slow their roll. I mean, maybe this could work out. Maybe this won't. It's not like when the Lakers traded for Shaq and they absolutely just – or did he sign with the Lakers? Or not a better comparison would be the Hornets trade for Kobe Bryant. It's not like that. It's way better than that. So I think the Mavs have some upside.
Good point.
Yeah. And then, but going to
let me put it to you this way.
Yeah,
let me put it to you this way. The Mavs got way more for Luka than the Angels got for Shohei Ohtani.
Amen to that. So I actually do want to read this comment from Larry. He says, I heard that this trade was somehow a scam by the NBA to not only put the Lakers back on the map, but to sabotage the Mavs and to make fans hate them to the point where they relocate to.
That conspiracy theory has been out there all over the place. I don't buy that one bit. I genuinely think that Nico Harrison felt like he made a good basketball trade. I mean, if you go back and look at that, if you go back and watch that and rewatch, I should say, that press conference, he talked about how he kept using the word culture and how he feels Anthony Davis and Max Christie add to the culture, but he barely even mentioned Luka. I mean, that's got a sting if you're Luka. Yeah, I mean, it's like, wait, so but it does make you wonder though, with all the conspiracy theories out there, it does make you wonder why the Mavericks traded Luka and did him dirty the way they did. What was really going on between the Mavs brass and Luka and his inner circle? What do the Mavs know that the Lakers don't? I guess we'll see.
And also, I wondered why Nico Harrison did not get the consent of Jason Kidd and the entire coaching staff. Like, he made this trade without getting the approval of Jay Kidd and all the other coaches on that staff. So this kind of makes me wonder. So
yeah, that's a really good question.
That's why I have Nico Harrison as Dum Dum of the Week. Potentially, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, I would. I would maybe hold on to that a little bit if you have any worse nominees, that is. But it's your show. I'm not going to tell you how to run your show, but right. I will say this: it is a good question, and I think more will come out. mean, it is a good question why Nico wouldn't consult Jason Kidd before making this trade, but you got to realize something here, where Nico Harrison and Rob Pelinka come from, and I think this is why they did it the way they did it. Rob Pelinka, as you know, used to be an agent. You know, Nico Harrison used to be with Nike. You're talking. He was an agent. Yeah, he was an agent with Nike, and you know what that means. He's had some of the best NBA players. He's worked with some of the greatest NBA players of all time. I don't know if he was there when Michael was still there with when he had his shoe deal with Nike back when he was a player. Maybe a little bit afterward, but he worked with Kobe, and who was Kobe's agent? During that time,
Rob Pelinka.
Right. So you see, there could have been. So yeah, there is a little bit of validity to some a little maybe a little bit of collusion or maybe some sort of backdooring. I don't think that. I don't think I don't buy the fact that he's intentionally trying to sabotage the Mavs or anything like that, or trying to set his friend Rob Pelinka up and the Lakers up. But relationships do matter. The old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Oh yeah.
Nico felt that he has the relationship with Rob Pelinka that he could trust Rob to have these types of conversations, and nothing would get out until they're ready to finalize the move. And if that meant that he had to keep it under wraps and not tell anybody, including Jason Kidd and his bosses, so be it. I mean, that's his job. He You see his body language. You see the transcript of that press conference. He knows he's really rolling the dice on this move. But that could end his career as an executive. But you know what? It may pay off. Again, the Mavericks had a great game last night against the defending champions, mind you.
On the road.
On the road without AD. It's going to be really interesting to see how the Mavs look with AD, and we barely even gotten to the Lakers and how they're going to look with Luka Doncic.
Yeah, and that wasn't the only trade that the Lakers made. So Alden K, aka Always Arizona Sports, he says thoughts on the Mark Williams deal for Dalton Connect. So yeah, the Lakers did make the trade for Mark Williams of the Charlotte Hornets. And here's what the Lakers got. So the Lakers got Mark Williams, while the Charlotte Hornets got Dalton Connect, Cam Reddish, and an unprotected 2031 draft first-round pick. Also, the two teams swapped second-round picks in 2030 or 2032. But regardless, that's pretty much the details of the Mark Williams trade. So, I mean, the Lakers now have their big man. They've had big men with Jackson Hayes, Christian Koloko, Maxi Kleba, and now they've got a young Mark Williams. So I don't want to hear anyone saying that the Lakers don't have a legit big man. No more do I want to hear the Lakers fans and any other fans.
Hold on. Let me push back on you just a little bit, Teran. It depends on what your definition of legit means. Does your definition of legit mean ready-made, like he's ready to bring them a title right now, or legit as in they have a future potentially?
Yes, a future.
Okay. Yeah. Look, everybody's really high on Mark Williams. Simply because I think they feel like he's a young piece. Yeah, he's a young piece, and he's 7'2", but in a big body. but we've barely even seen him play. I mean, I haven't seen him play at all. He's never played in a meaningful game, and he hasn't played a lot of minutes either. I mean, and not to mention a lot of games. He's gotten hurt quite a bit. So I mean, we'll see. I mean, health is a big question mark. Health is going to be a big question mark for the Lakers. And in particular the newest Lakers in Mark Williams, as well as their newest star asset, Luka Doncic. And the same is going to apply for the Mavericks when it comes to Anthony Davis, as well as the rest of their aging veterans.
I agree. And Alden said to give my thoughts on the trade for Mark Williams. Well, okay. I mean, I like the trade. I mean, Mark Williams is a budding big man, and he'll only get better. I will say this. Trading away Dalton Connector first-round pick kind of felt like a stretch, but as you said to me yesterday, that hindsight's 2020 because the Lakers could have traded a whole lot more.
Those assets should have gone to the Mavs. Yes.
Yeah, but now it's going to Charlotte, which has.
So you're kind of leveling your own playing field here.
Yes, I definitely agree, and I'm certain Dalton Connect's going to be a star in this league. I mean, he was supposed to be a top 10 pick, and then he fell all the way down to the lap of the Lakers, and the Lakers just said, "Let's go get him," and then poof. He was on the Lakers, and now he's on the Hornets. So I think it's going to be a wait-and-see process, in my opinion. But I think for the Lakers, this is solid. I mean, the Luka Doncic trade obviously blows that one out of the water, but I feel that this trade is going to grow on me. So,
yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, I think the phrase I would use is cautiously optimistic. I mean, the Lakers have been playing great as of late, notching quality wins against teams like New York, Boston, the Clippers the other night. I didn't see them beating the Knicks and the Clippers the way they did. So I mean, last night it was. I mean, anyone's a good win, but I mean, let's be honest here. The Warriors were really shorthanded because I mean they have Steph Curry, who they just have Steph Curry. Draymond's just coming back, and they had very few guys to do it because they just made the trade for Jimmy Butler. It'll be interesting to see how that works out. But the Lakers' defense has gotten a lot better simply because they have Jared Vanderbilt back, who is a really, really good wing defender, maybe their best wing defender, and Dorian Finney-Smith has been playing great. And you pair Dorian, and you pair Dorian with Luka, who've played together before, and you have Mark Williams. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how that affects their defense. But offensively, this team has a lot of potential.
Yeah, and that was pretty much said a lot on Inside the NBA yesterday. Charles Barkley being the pretty much certified hater of the Lakers. He says that the Lakers are pretenders, but he said that their Lakers offense is going to be great, but their defense may be a little questionable. But
I think that's fair, actually. I mean, yes, I agree. Charles Barkley loves to be a troll. When it comes to the Lakers, but I mean, for all his bluster, he kind of does make some good points. I mean, I don't think the Lakers are the favorites necessarily to come out of the West. Maybe top 3 or top 4. I still have Oklahoma City as the favorites simply because of this. Not only do they have the best record in the Western Conference, but two more quick points about the Thunder. They didn't make any. They're the only team in the West that didn't really make any trades because they didn't need to. They had. Therefore, they have the best chemistry as of right now. At least on paper, they do. On paper, they have the best chemistry, and they're not even. they're not even in double-digit losses yet. And most of the season they played without Chet Holmgren. You know, think of how good they'll be with Chet.
Oh yeah.
And they've added a lot of size with Isaiah Hartenstein and Alex Caruso. I don't think they're really getting enough credit for how well they've contributed to this team, especially defensively. Alex Caruso, people forget how good of a wing defender he is. We certainly didn't forget because he helped us win a title.
Oh yeah.
But I hated that we had to give him up.
Yeah.
But you know, that really hurt our defense, you know. But yeah, Oklahoma City. I still like Denver. I like Denver to get to the 2 or the 3 because Houston's been kind of slipping a little bit. You know, Memphis is playing great, but we'll see how long they sustain it. So and then maybe I would have the Lakers and the Mavericks kind of in that, you know, middle tier right there. So because we at worst, simply because we don't know what these teams are going to look like. But you know, I do think, you know, they're sleeper teams at worst that could come out of the West and go to the finals.
Yeah, Houston is a team that has been flying so vastly under the radar. My only fear for them is
they've lost 4 in a row, by the way.
Yeah, that losing streak and their youth and inexperience, and Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks is my biggest concern. If he does what he did back in Memphis, aka poke the bear, the Rockets will have a problem. No pun intended.
Oh yeah, he's a you-know-what-ster.
Yeah.
And by the way, did you see how he got into it with Anthony Edwards?
Oh yeah.
Look. He's not afraid to mix it up with team's best players. And you know what? That, you know, call me crazy, but that can help it in a lot of cases. Like, you know, maybe that's why Houston brought him in. Maybe he feels like he definitely has playoff experience, but he also brings toughness, and he'll go after, you know, team's best guys. So that may be what makes a difference in their playoff run.
Kind of reminds me of Pat Beverly.
Oh yes, great comparison. Pat Beverly, Ron Artest, Lance Stevenson, Dennis Rodman. I don't think Dylan's as good as any of those players were.
Right.
But he's definitely been better as a player, certainly since he got to Houston.
Yep. So we still had games to pretty much discuss. So the Lakers obviously took on the Knicks last time we talked about them. Their previous next game was against the Knicks. They took them down fairly easily. LeBron James had a triple-double, which I thought was pretty darn awesome, especially in the Garden. And then after that, the Lakers took down the Clippers, which it wasn't even remotely close. I was expecting a little bit more, but the Lakers ran the Clippers out of Intuit Dome like this was Staples Center all over again. And there's no excuse for the Clippers. I get it. The Clippers aren't the splashiest and flashiest team, but they had all their skill players available. You can't
The
tell
Clippers have been struggling lately. They lost to Indiana last night, too.
Yeah, after they led by 20. They've lost 3 in a row, so that's my biggest concern for the Clips as well. But the Lakers' most recent win was against Golden State, and you obviously went to bed because you had to get up for work. Lakers were just dominating the first half. I got to see the rest of this game, and I was like, okay, if the Lakers can stay up by 20 by the end of the third quarter, I can maybe go to bed, and I don't have to worry about this game. The Warriors made a comeback. And it was,
I heard about that.
Yeah, Steph Curry had other ideas, and it also didn't help that Austin Reeves went 0 for 9 from three-point land, and it was tough. I get it. But this is the Warriors in a nutshell. They're never out of it as long as Steph Curry is in, and obviously the Lakers weren't at full strength. Neither were the Warriors. But this kind of reminded me of the Christmas Day game, minus the fact that
yes, very similar.
Yeah, minus the fact that the Lakers were still in control. Like, Golden State kept getting the lead down to 6, and I think the
Warriors almost won that game, or at least sent it to overtime.
Yeah. On Christmas Day, they had the chance to send it to OT. This game, it just felt like the Warriors just could not get to that next level. I think they got the lead down.
They were shorthanded, and they just didn't have it. It wasn't their night.
Yeah, and I will say this. There was a little bit of a questionable missed 8-second call, but Steve Kerr said it best. That wasn't the reason why they lost. The first half being pretty much all Lakers was the reason why they lost, and fast break points was what really killed Golden State. And the fact that Steph Curry had to play hero ball was basically another big reason. It got to the point where he jacked up 23s.
All season long, it's been Steph Curry and just guys. I mean, they had to make that trade for Jimmy Butler, and Andrew Wiggins was just not delivering. Like if it weren't for this trade for the Warriors, I don't think the Warriors even make the play-in tournament this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be fun to see where they end up and whatnot, even though they're not from the SoCal area, but I digress. So,
well, even with this trade, it's still going to be tough. I mean, because if you look at the standings, it's OKC number 1, Memphis number 2, Denver 3, Houston 4, Lakers 5, Minnesota 6, Clippers 7, Dallas 8, Phoenix 9, Sacramento 10. Sacramento and Golden State are currently tied for 10.
Oof.
But San Antonio is right behind them. They're a game and a half back, and they maybe have made the second biggest trade of the week ahead of the trade deadline, trading for what's his name? Fox?
De'Aaron Fox.
De'Aaron Fox. I was going to say like DeAnthony or DeAndre. I knew it was D something. Yeah, De'Aaron Fox. That's going to be a duo for years to come. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs this year. They might be able to sneak into that 9-10 matchup. I think it's going to take a little time for them to develop some chemistry, but I think they have a shot. But I mean, here you've got you've got a Western Conference now that's 11 or 12 teams deep. So it's going to be really interesting to see who falls out and who doesn't make that, and who are the last two that get cut in the play-in tournament. I mean, you've got potentially at least 2 really decent teams that are not even going to make the playoffs. So.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. And I will say this for the Spurs. They're fun. They're at least fun and entertaining.
Oh, yeah, especially Wemby. I mean, he's done things we've never even seen before, at least seen out of a guy his size.
Some even had the Lakers trading for Victor Wembanyama, which if that were to happen, the NBA...
oh, my God.
It would break the NBA.
Oh, it would break the internet, certainly. Yeah.
Yeah. So now that we mentioned the Clippers, I know
the Spurs would never trade Wemby to the Lakers, by the way.
Exactly.
I mean, unlike Dallas, the Spurs will probably make trades with anybody but the Lakers.
Yep. So looking at the Clippers before we sign on out of here, they have lost 3 in a row. They did lose to the Pacers.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up. Before you go on, I want to mention another kind of under the radar trade they made. They traded for is it Bojan Bogdanovic?
Yeah, I think it was like Bogdan or Bogey Bogdanovic.
Both Bogdanoviches are good. They're not related, are they?
I don't know. I'd have to look that up, but yeah, they got Bogey.
Their names sound similar. Their first names, but I'd have to double check them. But anyway, both Bogdanoviches are good, and they're great shooters. So, I mean, if Kawhi Leonard, can stay healthy, and I know that's a big if. I mean, you've got those two with James Harden. You've got Kawhi, James Harden, Zubac, and Bogey Bogdanovic, and with Norman Powell having a great year, Clippers could be a sleeper team.
James Harden as well. He's doing pretty good.
I mentioned Harden, didn't I?
Oh yeah, you probably did. I think Derek Jones Jr. is also.
Derek Jones Jr. is a great player.
Yeah.
He was really instrumental in getting the Mavericks to the finals last year. He's a great athletic wing.
And Nick Batum is pretty solid as well. Batum's not too bad. I mean, maybe he's past his prime. But...
he's definitely past his prime, way past his prime. He can have some good moments, but
if there's
I think his best years are definitely behind him.
If there's one coach that could probably bring out the best in a player, it's probably Tyler.
Yeah, without question. He's still, maybe, to me, he's still a top 5 coach in the NBA. I mean, he deserves a lot of credit for what he's been able to do with the Clippers this year. Nobody had them, where they're at right now.
Yeah, and he's loyal. He could have easily gone to another big-time team, but he said, you know what, I'm going to stay with the Lakers.
The Clippers.
I'm going to stay with the Clippers. I'm going to stay on pat, and I'm going to.
The Lakers almost had him.
Yeah, they almost had him. But he said, I'm going to stay with the Clips. I'm going to do me, and I'm going to just lead my own team. And good for him. I'm happy for him. And the Clippers should get back on track tomorrow when they play the Utah Jazz. Like, the losses to Indiana and Lakers are acceptable. I just don't understand how they lost to Toronto. Maybe it's because they were still on their mini Grammy road trip. But I will say, Toronto could have been easily avoided. But again, I think the Clips are still in good shape. They just gotta continue to stay healthy. Harden led the way with 20 points in that game. It's just that they allowed the Raps to
look. It's a long season. I mean, Boston's been struggling lately.
Oh yeah.
I think some teams just go through a malaise every now and then. I mean, this and look, like we mentioned earlier, this is a very competitive Western Conference. I mean, I mean, it's weird they lost to Toronto, but it's a long season. You're going to go through good stretches. You're going to go through bad stretches. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. It's not how you start. It's how you finish. And with all these teams shuffling the deck, it's going to be interesting to see, I should say, how these teams look. By the way, you mentioned Indiana in that losing streak. Guess who's got Indiana next?
The Lakers. That's their next game.
By the way, I heard a stat that I couldn't believe. Listening to Mason in Ireland earlier. Are you aware that the Indiana Pacers are on an 8-game road winning streak?
That is wild. But I
think they have a better record on the road than they do at home.
Oof.
And they've won 13 of the last 14 on the road. So tomorrow is going to be a real test for the Lakers.
Interestingly enough, the Pacers are 14-13, so they must be getting hot.
On the road or at home?
On the road.
Okay. All right. So I was wrong. No. They're a bit worse on the road. They're same number of wins though.
Yeah. But it's a time will tell process, and maybe they're getting hot at the right time, and so on and so forth. But overall, I think tomorrow's game between the Lakers and Pacers, I think it should be a very good one.
Well, remember, this is the team that went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They're a real team with real players. People forget that. Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam.
Yeah, Halliburton had a crazy play. I think it was late in the game where he was trying to advance the ball up the court, and then he went right, and then two players trying to trap him. They leaned back. It looked like their ankles had been broken, and then everyone at Intuit Arena was like, "Oh my God!" or Intuit Dome. That was a pretty crazy play right there. But yeah. I think they just lost their balance, or it was actually both players stepped on each other's foot. I think the right foot and the left foot stepped on one another, and then that's why they both leaned back. But yeah, Pacers, Lakers is going to be fun. Well, Clippers, like I mentioned, they've got the Jazz, which should be a win. And the Lakers are no longer in the negatives of average point differential point per game. Like, they actually were in the negatives in terms of average point differential, but now they are in the positives by 0.6, which is a major graduation. The Lakers are getting better.
Well, yeah, because they've been blowing teams out. That's why. That's what's helped. other than last night, they've been beating teams by double digits.
Yeah, they've been smoking teams. The way that they smoked the Clippers was just quite astounding.
And the Knicks.
Yeah, Knicks was really impressive. That game felt like it was back and forth in the. It wasn't. I'm pretty sure it was like back and forth in the first half.
Well, I wouldn't say it was back and forth. I mean, the Lakers pretty much controlled the whole game. I mean, the Knicks, had some spurts where they narrowed the gap, but they just could not stop LeBron and those guys. I mean, LeBron's playing his best basketball certainly of this season
at age 40.
At 40, I mean. How many points do you have last night? Like 43?
Yeah, 43, 42. Well,
yeah, and at 40, that's nuts. He's averaged, his average is the same as like his career average at 40.
Yeah, it is very wild. And I think that's like his. He's got like the second most 40-point games at age 40 or above in a season behind Michael Jordan. So that's just crazy, yeah.
Well,
it was some sort of like weird stat where.
Well, I think he's got the most, the most
40-point games at age 40.
Yeah. But Michael didn't score this much, at age 40. Not even close.
Yeah.
Nobody has. Nobody's come close to putting up numbers that LeBron's had at this stage of their careers.
Yeah, it's just amazing to see. I feel we are witnessing greatness. I know Michael Jordan fans obviously will say otherwise, but you'll never get to see something like this ever again.
Yeah, I mean, I still have Jordan as the greatest of all time. But I mean, LeBron's a close second.
Indeed, I wholeheartedly agree. So, anything else you want to discuss before we sign on out of here? Because we are 90 minutes into this thing.
Okay. Yeah. Time's gone by super fast.
Yep.
I mean, is there?
I think we've discussed everything in terms of like the Lakers and Clippers.
Yeah. We talked about the big trades too. Is there any trades that we didn't talk about? I mean,
I think we got everything regarding the Lakers and Clippers.
All right. What? Yeah. Yeah, I will say this though. I mean, just to close. I mean, the Eastern. We were talking about who's going to be the favorites to come out of the conferences. I mean, the East. I mean, maybe Boston turns it around, but I mean the way they've been playing, and with Cleveland picking up. Who was the guy they picked up again?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Really?
I'm blanking on his name.
Starts with a D.
Yeah, I think it was like.
Someone in the chat help us out.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up the Cleveland Cavaliers roster. Yeah, but yeah, I did hear about that trade. That was a big trade. It was like something.
DeAndre Hunter.
Yeah, Yeah, it's something.
I was tempted to say DeJounte Murray, but it was not him. Yeah. DeAndre Hunter, adding him to the roster, I think Cleveland, is head and shoulders the favorites to come out of the Eastern Conference. Boston a close second, and I think, and then maybe Milwaukee a close third. The Knicks are having a great season, but I just don't have faith in them beating real competition like Cleveland, Boston, or Milwaukee. I mean, Indiana's currently fourth. And then Miami's a shell of themselves, and same with Orlando and Atlanta. Detroit, it's a great story. They've got a bright future, but yeah, it's going to be Cleveland, Boston, or Milwaukee. In the West, Oklahoma City's the favorites. But there's no clear-cut winner.
Exactly.
You have potentially maybe 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 teams that could come out of the Western Conference. It's going to be really fascinating to see, what this second half of the season post All-Star break, how it finishes and how the standings shake out leading into the play-in tournament.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun race, and I think the West is going to be so fascinating. I think even some of the more uncanny teams that most people don't have coming out will actually make it out. But we'll have to wait and see. It's a time will tell process. But that's pretty much going to do it for this week's episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show.
One last quick.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I just want to close by saying this with the Lakers. If the Lakers do make a run, a deep playoff run, if not win the championship, great. But if not, I'm not worried at all. I mean, the Lakers have completely rewritten the narrative with this Luka trade. They are set up for at least the next decade. Maybe if Luka wants to stay and if he plays like the Luka Doncic we know he's capable of being.
Luka the Don. But yeah, great closing statement right there. But yeah, that'll pretty much do it for the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you, Justin, for coming on. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yes, and I'll be back next week to discuss more Lakers and Clippers and whatnot. And that'll pretty much do it. I guess one more thing that I should give out is Dum Dum of the Week. And I was going to give it to Nico Harrison, but at the same night that the Lakers had that big win was probably overshadowed by something that was probably no one expected. And that was the Timberwolves losing to the Wizards. And I get it. No Anthony Edwards, no Julius Randle. But how do you lose to the freaking Wizards? I don't know if you know this, Justin, but we have this joke calling the Washington Wizards the Washington Lizards because there ain't no W's around here. So
there are no W's in Washington, that's for sure.
Yeah. So
that's like losing. That's the equivalent to losing to the Washington Generals.
Exactly. So that's why I kind of got to give Minnesota Timberwolves Dum Dum of the Week. So they get Dum Dum of the Week ahead of Nico Harrison. But I got my eyes on you, Nico Harrison.
Hey, look. I know AD didn't play, but Max Christie did, and just beating the Celtics alone, that scores. That's kudos for us. You're not a dum-dum if you beat the defending champions and it's the Celtics.
Yes, absolutely. All right, but that is going to do it for this week's show. For Teran Rodriguez and my guest, Justin Rodriguez, this is the SoCal Supreme Sports Show on iSports Radio. Have yourself a great weekend. Enjoy all the SoCal sports action. Be safe when it comes to Super Bowl weekend. And I will see you on Monday for Set Point. Have a great week, everybody. Have a great weekend. And remember, SoCal is for SoCal. Peace.